gun was still on safety, didn't fire. And so I corrected that situation very quickly because there were several other Zeros in the area. And the best description that I can think of what it looked like was a bunch of bees attacking us.
Japanese Zero pilots are talented and disciplined flyers with years of experience. 21-year-old Lloyd Childers struggles to outgun some of the most skilled aerial warriors the world has ever seen. And being a rear seat gunner isn't easy.
It's really difficult to figure out where to shoot. You're sitting backwards and you're trying to shoot a moving target from a moving target.
A gunner aims his weapon visually, using dead reckoning, without the aid of electronics. So he must lead the target, aim in front of it, like a hunter shooting a bird. The gunners and bombers are brave, but doomed. For the third time today, American torpedo planes begin to fall from the sky.
Harry Carl said, "Look at the skipper, look at the skipper." And I been around to look, and then I was looking right in the face of my boss, the chief radioman, and the plane was in flames. And I was looking at the chief's eyes. At first, his expression was, "What's going on?" Question mark. And then fear. He had figured it out. The airplane was burning furiously. We were obviously flying very, very low. And then the skipper's airplane hit the water.
As a rear seat gunner, Childers is facing the back of the plane, so he can shoot at Zeros attacking from behind. The Japanese fighter planes normally swoop down from above, so he's scanning upward. But he soon gets a surprise from the opposite direction. "180 degrees below Childers' aim, an enemy plane is closing in for the kill."
I looked down, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck.
In an instant, the enemy has climbed to Childers' level.
Here's the Zero, slowed down to 80 knots behind us, wobbling a little bit. He's out of ammo, and he's trying to cut our tail off with his prop.
Childers can't just open up wildly, because he'll shoot the stabilizers off his own plane. He takes careful aim through his machine gun's pipper, or sight.
I had the pipper below our horizontal stabilizer, and using the Japanese pilot's face as a target, I pushed the trigger, and he disappeared.
But Lloyd Childers' 21st birthday is far from over. Another wave of Zeros is coming at him.
I was shooting at the attacking Zero when I felt that I was hitting a leg. And I thought it was one bullet hit me, but actually it was two in the fleshy part of my thigh. That was a surprise. For some reason, I didn't expect it. Also a surprise because it didn't hurt.
Moments later, Childers is hit yet again, this time just above the ankle of the other leg. This wound is painful, but the young man keeps up his fire at the enemy. The Yorktown torpedo bombers score no hits. Most are shot down before they ever get close enough to drop their torpedoes. The score: the Japanese have shot down 25 planes, Americans, none. But the Yorktown's disastrous attack inadvertently brings a lucky turn of events for the Americans.
The Japanese fighters were focusing on an incoming torpedo plane attack from VT-3, Yorktown's torpedo squadron, and were forgetting to look around them to see if there were additional attacks coming in.
The Zeros have temporarily left the Japanese carriers without air cover. And at just that point, Wade McCluskey and his Enterprise dive bombers appear on the horizon, like the cavalry riding to the attack. McCluskey has followed the Japanese destroyer Arashi directly to the big prize, the Japanese carrier fleet. This is the moment bomber pilot Dusty Cleese recognizes his target, the Kaga.
I could see these two great big ships, you know, that were closest to us, and then a smaller one that was farthest away. The two ones closest had to be the Kagi and the Kaga.
Lieutenant Commander McCluskey immediately orders an attack, giving instructions for the air group to split in two, with one squadron attacking the Kaga and the other attacking the Akagi.
When they sticked forward and nosed over and they looked down on the Japanese fleet, it had to have been an incredible feeling.
And they were headed directly into the wind. Boy, that's the perfect place to make an aiming spot on ships.
Heading into the wind helps a bomber and bomb stay on course. A crosswind can alter the trajectory of both. The air group begins its dive, but there's confusion initially. Everyone goes for the same ship at first, the Kaga.
We almost had some mid-air collisions because we had two squadrons that were both starting to try to dive on the same aircraft carrier.
Fortunately, one of the squadron commanders, Dick Best, alertly recognizes the error and breaks off with two other planes to attack the Akagi. At the same time, back with the main bomber group diving on the Kaga, confusion has caused the pilot of Donald Hoff's plane, James Dexter, to dive his bomber at a much steeper angle than he'd intended.
Rather than angling straight down in a 70 or 80 degree dive, he ended up over on his back, so he was over 90 degrees.
Hoff is pinned to his seat, diving backward at more than 90 degrees when his ammunition belts begin to fall out of the plane.
They started to come out of the can like a big old snake. And I couldn't do anything with the guns to hang on to them because you don't want to have a 1,000-round ammunition belt hanging out the back of the plane as you're diving. This could be a disaster.
Hoff's pilot drops his bombs and pulls up steeply, bringing the ammo belts back into the plane. Unfortunately, the pilot's bomb has missed. Next in line is pilot Lewis Hopkins. The Georgian native is only 23 years old, but he dives as steeply as the rest of them, 13,000 feet straight down.
It takes about 22 seconds to go from altitude to your drop point, and in that period of time, it'd be 3 or 4 planes in the same dive, and so you could see the dives ahead and you could see the bombs where they were falling. And normally you drop at 1,500 feet, and I think everybody went right down to 1,500 feet.
Radio men gunners like 25-year-old Los Angeles native Ed Anderson experienced the dive facing backward.
Going pretty fast, and you're pulling out a hard pull out, and when you pull out, you're just glued to the seat. You can't move until he straightens out enough.
I watched McCluskey and his two wingmen drop their bomb. They missed. And then Earl Gallagher was the next one. It hit directly about like 200 feet from the stern of the Kaga. Here was the first fighter plane taken off. Now this 500-pounder landed smack right on top of it, and it exploded.
Next, it is Dusty Cleese's turn, and he's willing to risk his life to hit the target.
I aimed at the big red circle at the front. Now, of course, you don't aim where it is, you aim where it's going to be. I wanted to make sure I was going to hit, so I only pulled out that thing, at 1,000 feet. 9G pull out to just barely miss hitting the ocean.